Today we talk about the Book of Hours. Hopefully it will focus because it's a pretty cool cover, but this is one of the best books I've ever read. I feel like I've been saying that a lot recently, but I've just really picked some books that resonated with me a lot recently. And this book is a very fascinating outcome, but I first off want to say, like, if you like poetry, you're going to love this book. If you don't like poetry, I think you're going to still find a lot in this book, and it's not as big as it seems because half of it is written in German, you can see. But yeah, these are the poems that I've been sharing the past few days on my community tab of my channel. I try to like share a quote or a poem or whatever on a daily basis, but these ones are really striking me, and they were hitting at subjects that I was extremely fascinated in. And I randomly picked it up off the shelf of Barnes and Nobles, and I don't know why I had seen the name before, and I was like, "What is this about?" And I read one poem, and I'm like, "All right, I'm gonna pick it up." So the context behind this book is this book wasn't meant to ever be published. It was really Rilke's journal, and it was kind of secret. It was kind of private. It was something he kept to himself, but he was struggling to make ends meet, and he failed to meet a deadline on something else he was writing, so he ended up publishing this. And the most fascinating part about the background of this book, and perhaps about Rilke in all of his life, is that he has a very deep connection to Nietzsche, in the fact that they were both inspired by the same woman to write perhaps their best works. And the story goes is that before Nietzsche wrote Thus Spoke Zarathustra, which is oftentimes seen as his masterpiece, he was seeing this woman, Salome. I think it's like Lou Marie Salome. I don't know the first two names, but I just know Salome. And I recognized this in the introduction. I'm like, this is so weird. So I had to look it up. But essentially, she inspired Nietzsche and gave him a depth and gave him a fire and gave him a maturity that he had not had in his writing before. And, you know, after she left Nietzsche, after he proposed to her, he was kind of heartbroken, and perhaps it led to his downfall in the end. But with Rilke, it was interesting because she was an older woman and she kind of mentored him. They had an affair. She was married. It's all sorts of weird stuff going on. Who knows? But interesting enough, she taught him some interesting aspects of, you know, Rilke's actual poetry. She taught him about the depth of God, the nature of God, the ever-presentness, some more esoteric principles that you can really see in his writing, and you can really see a deep soul and a deep spirit. It reminds me a lot of Emerson in the ideas of the oversoul and the ideas of the eminence of God and sorts of things like that. But it's interesting because she also was his editor after that, and I don't know how long she was his editor for, but it's just cool to see that little connection. But onto the book, onto what I liked about it, onto the things that really struck me. I really enjoyed how Rilke talked about the ideas of cities. This book is broken down into 3 books, which are sort of shifting different ideas, and they kind of all focus on the same idea, which is the infinite, the ever-present, the changing of things, the flowing of things, but they hit it from different aspects, and they were written at different points in his life, and they compiled into this one book. But there's a part in this book where he's focusing mostly on cities, and something that struck me so much was he describes cities as hustling and bustling and so busy that you couldn't even take time to live, that you couldn't even take time to look at the people around you and see how much they were suffering, and see that, you know, maybe this isn't the way to do things. Maybe there's more to life than just making ends meet. Maybe there's more to life than just making money and then showing up to work the next day. And maybe there's a soul and a spirit that we're missing. And that's just something that I felt my entire life. And I'm reading this and I'm like, yeah, I love this. But I'm going to read you a poem. This is I'm assuming this is one of the most famous ones from this book because it's just really good. But I'm going to give you a little taste of the book. And yeah, hopefully this inspires you to read it. I live my life in widening circles that reach out across the world. I may not complete this last one, but I give myself to it. I circle around God, around the primordial tower. I've been circling for thousands of years, and still I don't know. Am I a falcon, a storm, or a great song? So, essentially what the first part of the poem is saying is that I'm doing new things in life, I'm trying new things, I'm becoming more, and then it shifts the perspective to a more bird's eye view and saying that I'm not just me, I'm everything at once. And this is a less understood idea. I'm going to have to explain it while I'm explaining this, but essentially what he's explaining is a monad, or a God, and God comprises everything, that everything you see is really just a projection of yourself. And I think this is a fascinating idea. You can play around with it. You can take it to the material phase of things if you want to read Spinoza, but Essentially, what he's talking about is the order of things and the part that we all play, and that, the matter that comprises you was once something else, and it will soon be something else, and you're just taking part in the game. You're just taking your turn, and it's questioning the finite nature of our lives while also questioning the infinite nature of reality and the never endingness of it. And it's just to do that in, I think, 8 lines. I'm guessing that's what it was. Is just I love types of stuff like this. It reminds me a lot of my own writing, and I just had a whole lot of fun reading this book. So I really urge you to pick up this book. This is Rilke's Book of Hours, if I didn't say it in the beginning, but it's been out for 100 years now, I think 1905, so maybe you can get it online for free. I don't know when it was published in America. I don't know what the copyright rules are going to be, exactly when it was published and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, you might be able to find it online for free. Maybe you can find people reading it, whatever. I just think you're going to have a lot of fun reading this. I think it's going to be something that's very enjoyable, and it's a very quick read. It's a very fun read, and it's a very inspiring read. The best part about poetry, I feel like, is when you read it, it gives you a sensation, it gives you a feeling, and each poet can evoke different emotions. Each poet can give you a different sensation, and Rilke's is among the most pleasant and the most happy that I've ever read. So, with that said, I love you guys so much. Thank you guys so much. If you want to read the stuff I write, either join the school community or read my book. One of the two. Peace out. Love you guys so much. Catch you in the next one.